It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Welcome back. Good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Get over to Joe's today. Do yourself some indoor karting at Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Again, 23rd Avenue. Find more information online, joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. Talking to the man who comes to us from Sydney, Australia, but now resides in Des Moines, Iowa. That is Ian Madsen, driver of the number 18 sprint car, going to be on the World of Outlaws Touring Series. Ian, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're enjoying the weather as much as we possibly can. This cold snap came a little bit earlier than I wanted it to, but it's here.
Yeah, I know.
Talk to me a little bit about the weather down in Australia. Does it really get very cold? I thought at the nights it can get down into the teens.
Yeah, I mean, parts of it get really cold, and it does snow in some parts of Australia. Not anywhere near where I live. I live in Sydney, and it probably gets down into the 30s, 40s there in wintertime. But I'm headed there in a couple of weeks to do some racing down there, and it'll probably be nearly 100 when I get there.
I was going to say, south of the equator, your seasons are flip-flop. It's summer down there now, and then in June, July, et cetera, is when it gets cold, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So I get the best of both worlds.
And you've still got residency down in Australia and in the Sydney area?
Yep.
You got a house down there and everything, so you get to go down there. It's kind of the best of both worlds for you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I get to get out of the snow here for a little bit and do some racing. Keep busy.
I don't know why I went into radio. I should have been a sprint car driver.
Yeah. If you're loaning it out, Dan and I'll go visit Australia in the winter. You know?
Yeah. I think that's a silence. Heck no, guys. You're not coming anywhere near my house in Sydney. Not a chance we're going to rent that to you. All right, man. Let's talk about your year over at Knoxville. You had a pretty good year and did a little bit of touring, but picked up the Knoxville Weekly Points Series, right?
Yeah, it was 2017 was an awesome year for us. Got 5 wins at Knoxville and bring home the points championship. So it was the second time we did that in 4 years. So it was it was an awesome year for us. And it kind of set the wheels in motion for next year and what we wanted to do. And we made some big plans to hit the World of Outlaws circuit.
Is that kind of big picture for you, World of Outlaws? Is that the top of the career goal for you, or do you want to try to maybe move on to take maybe a path up to the Camp Emerald Truck Series, maybe do a little racing at Eldora for the Mud Summer Classic?
Oh, I mean, it's not something I'd ever knock back, but I'm pretty content with making it to the World of Outlaws, and hopefully we can be a contender, and I can stay out there make something of it and stay out there for a few years.
That's a tough series to do that on. Very tough series.
Oh yeah, I've been around it long enough, so I kind of know what I'm getting myself in for.
What about other touring series for the year? How did you stack up with some of those?
Good. We only chased points at Knoxville Raceway, but we did a lot of racing with the World of Outlaws and the All Stars and IRA, MOA. Kind of did everything we could. So doing the Knoxville series, we had to be in Knoxville every Saturday night. So kind of whatever else was around, we'd try and get to and get some laps in.
If you had your preference, because it kind of seems to be a bit of a mixed bag for sprint car drivers, if they're going to be a purse-chasing kind of a driver, or if they're going to be a points-chasing driver. So would you rather chase races with big purses, or would you rather stick at a track and race for points?
It doesn't bother me. It's just as long as I get to race. Just really enjoy racing, and whatever gets me on the track as much as possible is what I prefer to do. So I think the World of Outlaws kind of you get the best of both worlds. You're racing 3 or 4 nights a week sometimes, and you're also chasing a points title as well.
So you kind of let the car owner set your schedule for you?
Kind of. It's a big team effort, and everybody gets their input, and everyone involved with the KCP racing team was asked about next year and what they thought, and everyone was really on board, and so it made it an easy decision for us.
Does it kind of stink that now you're not going to be able to be at Knoxville every Saturday night? Because that can get pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it does. I've lived kind of in the Knoxville, either in Knoxville or Des Moines the last 5 or 6 years of my life. So kind of going down there every Saturday night is, it kind of got pretty used to it, and it was nice to be home in your own bed after every Saturday night racing. But I'm pretty excited for what the future holds, and we're still going to get a few races in at Knoxville, so it should be good.
What's your goal when you talk about how many races per year? Are you trying to be in the 80, 90 range?
Yeah, somewhere in that range, I think is a good number. I think that's where you can make the most money and also keep yourself race fit and competitive with the other teams.
What's a minimum that you feel like you need to be able to race to continue to grow? It's tough to be good at anything when you only do it once or twice a week. So you've probably got to be
exactly.
What would be a number you would tell other drivers out there? You got to achieve this to at least start to build your talent level.
I don't know. I guess it depends how your team is behind you and what resources you have. I mean, obviously, if the resources are there, you should race as much as you can. But if they're not, you might need to scale it back a little bit so you're fresh and or your equipment's fresh when you do get to the racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Good year again. We talked about with the 2000. Dirk's having a little technical difficulties with his headphones. They just flipped off of his head. So pardon the distraction for a second there. But again, we talked about 2017 being a strong year, winning the Knoxville Nationals. It's a big jump trying to come up and compete even for a top 5 points finish for the World of Outlaws. But you've got quite a bit of experience with with that touring series.
Yeah, I do. Next year sounds like it's going to be pretty insane for car numbers out on the tour. I think they're talking about 20 guys they're going to start off with us in Florida. So it's going to be really tough. And I definitely am pretty realistic about things. I know if everything goes our way, we could genuinely be a top 3 or top 5 contender. But if things don't go our way, it might be a little bit of a struggle. And kind of made it a 3-year plan to be out there. So hopefully we can just learn from our mistakes and keep growing as a team.
Yeah, because there will be plenty of mistakes that come about the year, but that's good to hear that you guys have made a 3-year commitment to that, because it's not going to be something you can do 1 year and then just decide, maybe we'll keep doing it.
Exactly. It's not something you need. A lot of them guys have been out there 20 plus years, and they've got so much experience and notes built up on certain tracks, and it's just unrealistic to think you're going to go out there and kick their ass on your rookie year. So we'll try, but yeah.
Most other years, yeah, maybe, but there's this dang guy Schatz on that schedule that seems to have everybody's number quite often.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's going to be kind of tough because we're not going to be able to see you in the Nebraska area for the first time in years. There is no World of Outlaws race scheduled in Nebraska, so we're just going to have to catch you the 4 or 5 times that you come to your home away from home in Knoxville in 2018.
Well, we'll definitely be in Knoxville in August.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was a bit of a shock to me that we weren't going to Nebraska. I really love racing I-80 is one of my favorite tracks, and Eagle's really fun as well. So a bit disappointed about no Nebraska racing on the schedule, but it is what it is, and I'm sure we'll be back there the year after.
Outside of the World of Outlaws for 18, are you planning on doing any ASCS 360s, any Nebraska 360 races, any kind of other races outside of the World of Outlaw Touring Series?
No, unfortunately, once you're kind of committed to the World of Outlaws, that's all you can do, and that's pretty much all you'll have time for is World of Outlaw stuff. So I'm sure there'll be like a couple little races like the Oskaloosa and the Capitani Classic at Knoxville, and that'll probably be about it.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Once you commit to the World of Outlaws, there's not much time for anything else. You're gonna go race woo, and you're gonna sleep.
You have trouble taking the breath. Exactly.
If you get a night off, you probably deserve it.
Absolutely. Talk about some of the guys that get you up and down the road for the races.
Got a great team behind me with great partners. Just really need to thank Brett Nearing and Matthew Barbara. They're the two brains behind the whole operation and have built this incredible team. And some of my major sponsors: Logan Contractors, Aspen Air, Royal Flooring, Klein Electric, and Bobcat. Just without them guys, obviously it wouldn't be all possible. So really need to thank them, and I hope we can have a great year for them next year and make them proud.
Well, best of luck. We can't wait to see you down in August for the Knoxville Nationals, and we'll come by and try to say hi to you.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. We really do appreciate it, bud.
Good luck, Ian.
Thanks, bud. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So again, Ian Madsen joining us, talking about his plans for 2018. I was really surprised that there's no World of Outlaws race at I-80 or Eagle, and with Junction closing down, that eliminated that track. But deal just not able to get done.
I was just going to ask, because I-80 and Eagle had been going back and forth the last several years, so I figured it was I-80's turn. But...
And I've got a pretty good idea of what happened, and I'll tell you, it was not lack of effort of either track trying to get it to happen. I mean, it's an expensive race to get to come. I mean, you're talking about probably a $30,000 buy to get that race to come. And there's got to be sponsorship dollars that come with it. And I mean, that's a big ticket to pony up and hope that the ticket sales come back and reflect on it. So a lot of times sponsors will ease that ticket a little bit. And I think what happened was that a sponsor couldn't be found for the company that brings that race in each year, whether it be at I-80 or Eagle. So it wasn't a lack of effort on the tracks. I know both of them tried very hard to get that deal done, and it just wasn't able to come together.
Well, it'd been SLS Promotions. I know running that the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
and by the way, if anybody's got $30,000 laying around, I know where you can spend it. And I know where I would certainly love for you to spend it. As much as I would love to have it on the front stretch, I think a lot of people would love to have it at a World of Outlaws race in Nebraska.
But you better go check that washing machine in a hurry because they're probably getting close to finalizing the schedule here real quick.
They are. It came out actually a couple of weeks ago, but those things can always be added. Yeah, you're right. I mean, pop over after a race at Knoxville, come over to Iowa. It's not too much.
If the Christmas presents are good to you, if Santa's good.
I do apologize. I made a bit of a faux pas. Well, not a faux pas. I made a bit of a mistake earlier this week. When I created the promo for the week of coming up this weekend, I kind of said that Terry McCarl was going to be joining us for the Legends of the Dirt Series. Turns out that I'm kind of dumb, and I've known this for years, so I'm not hurt by that statement at all. And anybody that happens to agree with me. It's actually Darrell DeFrance, legendary driver in the central Iowa area, dominant on the, or not dominant, but a huge presence on the Deary Brothers circuit.
The Iron Man.
The Iron Man. He joined us for the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series, so that's coming up in turns 3 and 4. Next weekend, I almost promise you, I'm going to get a hold of Terry McCarl this week, and I'm going to make sure that he comes on the show. But we may have to flip the script just a little bit because, there's a lot of trade shows going on. There's a lot of vacations going on, so it's tough to get a hold of these guys. But we are planning on having Terry McCarl for next weekend, and we'll talk to him about his career and his plans for the future and his kids that are coming up through it and all that kind of fun stuff.
You should try and get Jimmie Johnson.
Who's he?
Well, he's not a legend for the dirt,
right.
But I was reading today where he cut all his vacations and stuff short. He's getting back to work because he was a little frustrated with the end of his season this year. And,
was he?
That's what he says. He's excited with the Camaro coming out for Chevrolet.
Yeah, that's a big conversation we got to get into. That new Camaro coming out and the aero advantage that
maybe we should get Brad.
Get Brad. We'll get him on record and we'll play it in like March or April about how unfair it was that NASCAR approved this new Camaro body style and yada, yada.
And then we can play it again in September.
Yeah, and we can break it here because he's there. If there's one thing we know, it's Brad's going to complain. Much like any, and rightfully so.
He's going to speak his mind.
The funny thing is, most of the time, the guy's right. Whether you like what he has to say or not, most of the time he's right. All right, so thank you to Ian Madsen for joining us at Turn 1. Coming up at Turn number 2, we're going to talk about the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals, and we're going to give you your opportunity to win 4 tickets to Friday night, 4 tickets to Saturday night. It's a big weekend of racing coming up at the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. And then in Turns 3 and 4, the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series interview with Darrell DeFrance, the Iron Man, the man who has toured considerably on the Deary Brothers. It's a great half hour of audio, maybe even a little bit longer now that I think about it, but we had a great conversation with Darrell. Make sure to stay tuned for that. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in Turn number 2. The front stretch is just getting started here on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
This week's young gun on the front stretch is 19-year-old Ari Scouten. Ari's the great-grandson of Leslie Vaughn, who owned dirt track cars for decades, with names like AJ Foyt, Tiny Lund, Bobby Parker, and many more driving his cars. Ari just finished his 11th year as a dirt track driver, getting his start at the age of 8 in cage karts. In 2013, Ari upgraded to a sport mod where he's earned top 5 points finishes at Eagle Raceway and I-80 Speedway, Most Improved Driver Awards, and 3 feature wins in 2017. When asked about his hobbies, Ari said racing, karate, racing, work, and you guessed it, racing. Someday Ari hopes to pilot a modified or even a sprint car while owning a dirt track and high-performance part fabricating company. But for 2018, you'll see him behind the wheel of his 99 RE, Drew's United Roofing, Charvette and Hurt Concrete, Brown's Trucking sport mod at a dirt track all over the Midwest. This week's Young Gun on the front stretch has been presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha, and Kosiski.com.
This is Andrew from Kosiski Auto Parts. Kosiski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kosiski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kosiski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kosiski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 2, brought to you by the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. It's the last Sunday before the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. If you don't have your tickets yet, you are sorely, basically you're just setting yourself up for a world of pain, because remember last weekend we were talking to Ben Shelton. He said 2 weeks out, we know what the weather's going to be like. Well, we're less than 2 weeks away. We're 4 or 5 days away. Hauler's going to be showing up in just a couple of days to get set up on Wednesday. We know there's not going to be a big snowstorm coming in. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but the good news is it's inside. So get your tickets now. VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt National. Get them online, gatewaydirt.com. And we've got a trivia question. We've been giving away packs of tickets. We've got another big 4-pack, 4 tickets, 2 pair for Friday, 2 pair for Saturday. So 8 total tickets are going to be in your pocket. You're going to get a weekend of great racing at the Gateway Dirt Nationals, courtesy of our friends down there. All you got to do is know this trivia question. It's really simple. What city is the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals being raced in? What city is the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals being raced in? 402-573-0590. 402-573-0590.
Who was our lucky winner from last week?
Last week was Chris and Chip, and I'm going to do those two a favor, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce their last name. It's got a couple of vowels in it, so tricks me up just a little bit. But they're really excited. They're headed down this weekend. They knew the answer. The question to last weekend's trivia: who was the 2016 late model Saturday night feature winner? And it was
one of our favorites, Mr. Bloomer.
At least my favorite.
Man crush time.
A little bit.
Next
I'm
cat.
not afraid to admit it.
Next cat named Bloomer.
That's a good point. That is a. Well, now I can tell Sarah we can get another cat, because now I finally got a name for it. I can't believe it's taking me this long to realize that. That was, one of those things. So, that was last weekend's trivia question winner. And Chris and Chip are headed down. Christine and Chip are headed down to the VP Racing Fuels. They've got 4 tickets for Friday night, 4 tickets for Saturday night for the Gateway Dirt Nationals. So they're going to watch the preliminaries and the qualifyings, and then the last chance qualifiers and the Race of Champions. Oh, they won't see the Race of Champions unless they get on Thursday and get their own tickets. But a lot of racing to be had on Friday night, and then shopping on Saturday, kind of going around, seeing everything that's going on. There's a lot going on in the Dome, too. I think there's a trade show going on at the same time before the race on Saturday. So, they're going to get to go down there and do all that stuff. But then you can, too, if nobody's got it yet. Here's the question once again. What city is the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals being held in? 402-573-0590. First person with the correct answer gets 4 tickets to Friday and 4 tickets to Saturday for the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals.
Yeah, get down there. Give me a wave. I'm going to be there Saturday night for sure. Friday's up in the air. Going to be traveling down Friday, but just don't know if we're going to make it in time. But definitely going to be there all day Saturday. I'm actually going to try and set up and maybe check out, say hi to Mike Mittler a little bit.
Yeah.
I know he's feeling a little better. He's got some cancer battles he's going through right now, but he felt well enough to go to PRI this weekend.
That's good.
So, that's definitely a plus. He's up and about and up there. I mean, I haven't been. You've been, and it's a long day. Mm-hmm. So,
absolutely.
Or a long couple days.
Yeah, it can be. It can really turn into that, especially, you kind of talked about it with your the stuff you've got going on Friday. By the way, kind of a side note, if anybody has an extra kidney laying around, what blood type are you?
The blood type's not as big as all the DNA markers that they use. So.
Well, if you wanna donate a kidney to Dirk, oftentimes he has to get what I call his oil changed, but it's actually just ran through dialysis, and that's the reason why he may not be able to make it on Friday. So we need to be able to get him down there next year on Friday. So let's get a new kidney, let's get that baby plugged in there, and then we can get you back up to healthy, and you can quit get your oil changed every 2 or 3 days.
Then I can go out and have a beer with you.
Yeah, there we go. Did you see all the videos that have been going around Facebook Facebook of the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals have been posting of them getting that whole area kind of mapped out and all the dirt coming in and the barriers and all that fun stuff.
I think I sent it to you first.
Probably.
I think, didn't I? And it's a real interesting video. I mean, I was amazed that it said there's only 350 loads of dirt in there. I thought there'd be a lot more than that, but I don't remember how many. It was over 1,000 Jersey barriers, and they showed them loading those up and putting the pins in, and guys with levels making sure they're square because the way they stack them up, they got to be square.
Yep.
But
you don't even. I wonder how thick that layer of dirt is, because for it to kind of be able to stick together, it's got to be a certain layer thick. You can't just run a 6-inch layer. You're probably talking about, foot and a half?
Yeah, I'm figuring a couple feet. I know when they did when they covered I-70's asphalt with dirt for several years, somebody told me the main part of it was about 3 foot. Obviously, it tapered up to that. But so you could get in and out of the pit area in the center of the track. But somebody told me it was about 3 foot.
A lot of great things on their social media page. Make sure you head over and like them today. VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. If you just search for the Gateway Dirt Nationals anymore, I've been going to that page so much, I type GA and it autofills Gateway Dirt Nationals for me. So get over there today, check it out. A lot of great videos, a lot of cool videos of previous last year's drivers talking about how excited they are to come back for this thing. And Ben Shelton talked about it. We heard a lot of talk when this thing came about last year of we want to see what it's like the first year and how it goes, and then maybe we'll go down there. A couple of the concerns were, how's the racing competition going to be like? I think that was answered emphatically amazing. They did a fantastic job with that track. What are the emissions going to be like? What is the exhaust fuel? How is that going to be held? Because you go to some of these indoor karting events and there's so many karts and they're smaller engines, but it is fumy in there and it's tough to breathe at times, and they have to take breaks to cycle the air. I think he said they took 2 breaks between Friday and Saturday, and they probably didn't need to, and now they've made even more improvements to the ventilation system.
Yeah, I don't remember who he said it was there, if it was like people from city council or something, or safety people, OSHA, I'm not sure, but they had meters and stuff that they were reading the fumes with, and if it got to a certain point, they shut them down,
And they didn't really get that close. And he talked about, if you missed any of this conversation, because unfortunately we had 2 great conversations last weekend, one with Gunnar Pike and one with Ben Shelton. And then, of course, our conversation with Mike Nichols. I had to cut so much of the show out because the show ended up being an hour and 28 minutes, hour and 29 minutes with everything included, and not trimming the show down to cut out some of the content to fit in our 1 hour window. So go over to our YouTube channel, go on to the YouTube page, just search Front Stretch, December 3rd, 2017, DEC. I always abbreviate that for brevity, but go check that out. And Ben talks about some of the finer points of what it was like to do that and what that race was like last year. And he said he's up in the catbird seat up on top calling the race. He said he'd be the first one to pass out if those emissions got too bad.
Like the canaries on the roof in a coal mine.
That's exactly the metaphor he used.
Isn't if they go to find that show from last week on YouTube, don't they have to go to Joe's Karting with a K?
Not over there. It's the Joe's Karting YouTube page, and you can subscribe to it because there's a lot of great stuff. You could just search by the Front Stretch, but if you can't find it that way, head over to our Front Stretch Facebook page, and the Joe's Karting.
Use the link.
Yeah, the Joe's Karting page is the kind of the overseer of the channel, but you can search by the title of the episode, which was Front Stretch December 3rd, and I believe Mike Nichols was the name we used for the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. So a lot of great content. Last weekend when we talked to Ben Shelton, we were trying to get another driver on the air this weekend to kind of get a driver's perspective of what you can expect for this coming weekend's VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. Unfortunately, we didn't think far enough ahead. There's a little bit of an event that was going on this weekend in Indianapolis called PRI that everybody's at. They're shaking babies and kissing hands, trying to get sponsorship dollars and packages put together. So we weren't able to get a driver on the show for this weekend. That's going to be at the Gateway Dirt Nationals coming up this coming weekend. So we apologize for that, but we're giving you kind of a preview here. And of course, how can you balk it being able to talk to Ian Madsen on the turn before?
Well, and we were trying to get, as Dan was alluding, we were trying to get a hold of Bobby Pierce, who's going to be in St. Louis. That's kind of in his neighborhood. And He's just been named to drive the Dunn Benson.
Well, I was going to say, it's not in his neighborhood anymore.
Well, yeah, correct, because he's moved. But I wonder if it's going to be his last ride in his car for a while or the first ride in the new car for a while. I wonder which way this one's working.
I guess we'll have to wait until this weekend to find out if how that's going to work out. But yeah, he's going to be racing for a couple weeks ago. We shared the news article that Earl Pearson Jr. had left Dunn Benson Motorsports in that one car that he'd been with for a couple of years to go and race for another car. And the first person they called was Bobby Pearson. Said, "Hey, we want to come over here and race our car." And Bobby goes, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Can I bring my sister to do my tires? Or no, that's probably what they said. And bring your sister to do your tires.
Can your sister come along?
But they did tell him and ask him, I should say they didn't tell him. They asked him if he could bring his dad along, though, race-wise. Mm-hmm. So Dad's going to be at the racetrack. He's not moving to North Carolina and working in the shop or anything, but he is going to be crew chief at the racetrack.
And his dad's builds chassis for him, and that's what he was racing for quite a while. But his dad has kind of moved in the direction of more building modifieds, which I believe, according to the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals Facebook page, in their pre-register sheet, Bobby Pierce is registered for open wheel modified and late model races that night this weekend. So you're going to have a lot of racing of Bobby Pierce up in your beard.
And also, if anybody went over and looked at that stuff we were talking about, they've got some pictures from last year's race, and there is one modified shot where it looks like it's exiting one of the turns, so exiting 2 or 4, and both front tires are off the ground. Not one, both. The left front's way up, but the right front is off, and whether that's off a little bump or whatnot, I don't know. But the track's got plenty of grip, as Ben told us last week that boys with Kevin Gundaker that he brought over from Tri-City over there put together a heck of a racetrack.
And Ben also talked about how, we always talk about Cubs fans dealt with this a lot. Well, there was always next year. If you don't make it this year, there's always next year. And Ben talked kind of about the urgency a little bit. You never like to talk doom and gloom, but there's always a possibility that what are they calling it now? The dome in...
The dome in the Midwest or something like that.
Some crazy... There's always a possibility that property will get sold and the dome will get torn down, because it's a big, expensive item to have right in the middle of St. Louis.
Yeah, it's downtown. It's prime real estate, real close to the arch and everything down there.
Somebody's going to cash a couple $1 billion check when they sell that property, and that could mean that the dome will get torn down because there's no longer a football team filling that thing up, putting money into it. So they've got to fill it up, and this could be the last year they do the VP Racing Fuels Gateway Dirt Nationals. So my point, there may not be a next year, and we won't know a year to a year and a half in advance. We're going to get told at some point in time that, sorry, no race this year. It's over with. They may move it, but it'll never be at that dome in the middle of America again. So get your tickets today, gatewaydirt.com, and go down there and enjoy this thing. I do kind of regret that I'm not able to go down this year, but it's on my calendar for next year.
Yeah, I hope you answered that trivia question right and you got tickets, so you don't have to worry about buying any.
Yeah, by the way, if anybody hasn't answered it yet after I said the answer about a minute and a half ago, we're going to have to give them away on Facebook later this week. But we appreciate our friends over at the Gateway Dirt Nationals, presented by VP Racing Fuels, for giving us those tickets to the weekend. And we hope you have a good time, whoever wins. And I know, Dirk, you're going to go down there and have quite a bit of conversations with some of our legends of the Dirt Series.
I'm going to do what I can. I know that's kind of my main goal, is to get those two set up. We've got a couple legends that we're pretty sure are going to be there, and we're going to try and get them set up so we can talk with them, and then I'll see who else I can line up and talk to. While
we have some time left in the turn, real quick, we're going to talk some NASCAR, which we haven't done for a little bit since Homestead happened, and we kind of recapped the whole season, our thoughts on the Cup Series. One big news story broke earlier this week. There's still a lot of flux going on with the silly season in NASCAR. We don't know what a couple of drivers are doing. We don't know what a couple of teams are doing. Now we're hearing reports, and this is kind of a crazy one, so bear with me, because if this is all true, it's going to be a bit of an unprecedented thing. Richard Petty Motorsports and Richard Childress Racing are going to be joining forces. Almost, the term the article used was align. They're going to align.
It wouldn't be unprecedented, because a few years ago, DEI and Ganassi did this very same thing.
Okay.
And then DEI is more or less folded and withdrawn from everything.
True.
But the two kind of merged together, and
and you may be thinking to yourself, well, one drives a Chevy and one drives a Ford. Not anymore. They're both driving Chevys, and Richard Petty
if it
Motorsports.
happens.
Their deal with Ford is over with, and there has been reports that they're going to be moving to a different manufacturer, and there was some that thought maybe it was going to be Toyota. Turns out it's going to be a Chevy, and Chevy's been wanting to replace Stewart-Haas Racing and Furniture Row Racing since they lost both of them. So this was a good get for Chevy, and also Richard Petty Motorsports didn't renew the lease with the shop that they've been in for years, that ends at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean they're losing their building. And we've all been kind of sitting back and wondering, if Childress was going to, put another car in the stable, well, now he's got the other car for his building anyway. If this, all comes to a line, it's sounds like RPM is going to move into the RCR shops.
Mm-hmm. What is it going to be now? RPM, RCR? Or Richard and Richard Motorsports?
RPC?
RR and PC and
Richard Petty Childress, RPCM. It's hard telling.
As far as I can understand, it's still going to be two different operations. And I don't think they're going to merge names or merge anything like that. What it sounds like is that Richard Childress said, you know what, I've got an open bay over here and plenty of shop space. You guys have one car. Why don't you just come over and hang out with us? And so they're going to come together, and they're both going to be under the Chevy banner. It sounds like, if this is all completely true, which usually this stuff is, when it hits the major headlines, it's pretty well fleshed out to where we've got the truth behind it. Although Chevy has not made an announcement, and neither has neither organization, but it sounds like this is a pretty much of a done deal.
Yeah, and I'm officially dubbing silly season over. And now we are into the hilarious holiday season.
Okay.
Because this is kind of hilarious.
Well, speaking of hilarious, what's your latest rumor on Carl Edwards?
He's probably going to be in the Richard Childress shops fitting in that 43 car.
We already know who's in the 43, though.
Things change overnight.
Bubba Wallace has got that 43 wrapped up.
Well, I'm actually hoping to see Carl here in just another week. I'm hoping.
Keep your fingers crossed.
He made the mention that he might contact Kenny Wallace about a modified ride down there.
Yeah, that's a good point. He may be down there racing at the Gateway Dirt Nationals. So you may want to head down there and see old cousin Carl race. Maybe the first time anybody's seen him race since Homestead 16, right?
Yep.
Because he hasn't sat behind the wheel of anything as far as I understand.
He didn't do any testing or anything for Gibbs. Yeah. I mean, he did a little bit of coaching for Daniel Suarez there the first couple races last year.
Phoenix?
I think Phoenix was the last place he was at.
Yeah.
I know he went down to Daytona. He didn't go down to Daytona for the races, but he went for the testing in January.
He was at Sonoma, wasn't he? He was wrapping up some stuff at Sonoma.
That was some personal services stuff that he had to do out there,
But that's the last we've seen of him. He's been on kind of vacation and non-official retirement.
And farming. He said he's been doing a lot of farming.
Imagine that. I mean, what's the top speed of a tractor is about 25.
We've got to start calling him Combine Carl. I can just see him in the bibs up there, and he already tears
the farmer look.
He already tears the sleeves off his shirts, and so he'd be up there looking proud.
Now you're getting all the women all flustered, all the ladies that are listening to the show.
I wonder if he does a backflip then off the combine.
Yeah. Coming up here in turn number 3, it's this weekend's Legends of the Dirt Series. I know, I screwed up. I said the wrong one during the promos all week long. Terry McCarl is actually coming on the show next weekend. Darrell DeFrance is going to be our guest this weekend.
Something a little more local, and actually got some good press from Jesse Sobbing recently.
Absolutely.
Jesse said he was a guy that he liked to talk to a lot and became pretty good friends with in 1 year on that Deary Brothers tour.
We had a lot of fun talking to him. Very honest, open guy that talked about every aspect that we asked him for. Didn't really hold back much.
Oh, I knew he would be. I've met him before. So
Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series kicks off coming up at turn number 3 with Darrell DeFrance. And again, next weekend, interview pending. If we're able to get it with Terry McCarl, he is going to be our interview for next weekend. And then we have a tentative recording date with Quaker Steak and Lube, December 19th. That's a Tuesday night. We're going to probably set up about we'll get there about 5:30, start recording at about 6, let everybody get some dinner in them. And the plan is anybody local that is on the Legends of the Dirt series, Glenn Roby, Mike Boston, and Roger Hayden are the 3 guys on the list. We're going to try to get Kyle Burke to come over because Kyle in person is always entertaining, even though Kyle over the phone is usually pretty entertaining. I always like to have Kyle in the house and kind of talking with us a little bit. So at least 4 or at least 3 drivers, maybe 4, and we might work in a couple of other interviews if we got the time and you guys are interested in coming down. Maybe get a Jack Dover, a Cody Ledger, a Jordan Grabowski, whatever. We're going to try to work in some other interviews, the local guys in there that are local dirt racers, and do some earlier interviews too. So that's coming up December 19th. We'll be sending out more information about that on our Facebook page, so make sure to follow that. We're going to head over to turn number 3. We'll talk to the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt series, Darrell DeFrance, coming up in turn number 3 and 4. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Have you ever watched NASCAR, dirt track, or IndyCar and thought, I could do that? Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the place to put your money where your mouth is. Races fire off every 10 minutes, so what are you waiting for? Get to Joe's Karting on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, next to the Mid-America Center, and find out how easy it is to drive a race car. Each Joe's Karting car is powered by an eco-friendly Honda engine capable of a 14-second lap. That's if you're as good as you think.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 3, and it's time to sit down with one of our Legends of the Dirt series. He's driven in the Deary Brothers, won it a few times, that championship. He's joining us on the phone now, and his name is Darrell DeFrance. How you doing, good sir?
Doing well.
Good to have you on the show. We do appreciate you joining us for the Legends of the Dirt series, and something we do every off-season for kind of the old-time racing fans, and we also mix in some of the new ones. And, typically when you get in on these Legends events, you've got to be retired, you've got to be 6 years inactive or whatever, but we're trying to recognize a lot of the guys that are still out there turning laps because, this is still a fun sport.
Yeah, it is. I really appreciate you guys having me on here, but you're right. When you talk about legends, I don't really consider myself one, but I'm pretty honored to have you call me that, and should be fun.
Well, along with getting called the Iron Man, I mean, your resume is rather extensive, so.
That just means I'm getting old and been around a long time, I think.
Well, let's talk about that, getting it started. So when, at what age did you get exposed to dirt racing, and what age did you sit behind the wheel?
Oh, when I was really young. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the age. My dad raced when I was really, really young. I can remember being at racetracks, probably 7, 8 years old, Dawn.
What were the racetracks you went around to?
Usually Marshalltown and Tunis and Waterloo, the old Tunis Speedway, and Dad ran Boone some, and Webster City some, and Des Moines, and there was a track in Newton years ago, too, that is where he started racing at.
So you would frequent around with your dad. Was he into racing himself, or was he just...
Yeah, he drove for...
He drove?
He drove for several years. I'm guessing probably 25 years or so he drove. So.
What did he drive, late models?
Yeah, back then they were called super stocks, and then they developed into late models about the time he got out of it.
So at what age did you talk him into getting you behind the wheel?
We built which was called a street stock then, which is more like hobby stock cars are now, I would say. But I turned 16, I think, on a Friday, and Marshalltown was racing on Tuesday nights at that time, and I raced the Tuesday night after my 16th birthday. So
I always love that. You drivers are the most impatient people.
Yeah. I've been helping Dad on his cars for a long time, and he knew I had the interest, so he helped me out.
Now, did you build the car? Did the car come built already?
No, we built it.
Okay. And that was probably a good father-son bonding experience. You guys have been to the track quite a bit, but now you guys got to actually sit underneath the hood. A lot of yelling at me and different things. A lot of butt chewings, but we got through it. Was it anything like the Dale Earnhardt documentary when he says, now you got all them bolts tightened?
Yeah, it was a lot like that. Talk a little bit more. I learned, I learned a lot from Dad, maintenance-wise and stuff like that on the cars, and learned from the beginning it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. It does. It's not the show up to the track, maybe an hour early, get the car unloaded, scale it real quick, and then go out there and win the race.
No, unfortunately, it's not. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of man hours for sure.
And that's one thing, as long as you've been in the sport, I believe you can honestly say has not changed.
No, not at all. It's that part of it can probably never get easier. I mean, I'm still a firm believer that you win races in the shop, so.
What you said when you got into the car at about 16, you were racing what is now classified as a hobby stock. How long did you race that?
I started in '76, and I think I bought a Sportsman chassis in the winter of '80. And around our area, the late models were starting to be hurting, and so during that winter they combined in our area the Sportsman and the late models. So I was boosted up to a late model in a pretty big hurry.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, I worked over at Sunset. I wasn't working at the track then, but I was helping a guy with a car, and it was right there about 81 or 82 at Sunset. They did the same thing. They did away with their Sportsman class, which was a late model with a 2-barrel and no quick change was the only difference. There were no weight rules or any of that. And that was then right about the time NASCAR was coming in and trying to centralize all the rules and all the weight rules and everything from track to track. So, a guy like Tom Hurst went out and ran, he run in 83 or 84? He won that national title, but he ran like 78 nights or something under one set of rules. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's kind of what they started getting us at. Now you don't got to go very far and everything's different, which I don't think it's an asset to our sport by no means, but I think it's going to get better. I really do. My mind wants to tell me that anyway, or my heart, I should say.
Yeah, it's going to have to get better for the sport to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to do the same thing that it did at that time right now. I mean, it's been about peaks and valleys, It's been way up, it's been real good, and back down, and it is kind of heading the wrong way right now.
Let's get back to the start of your career, and so you've made the move. You said in about 80, so at about 20 years old, you made the move into what would then become a late model. How much was your dad helping you on the program, or had you guys had you cemented yourself as the main man in the operation?
He pretty much, yeah. Actually, yeah, kind of had the same thing Jesse Sobbing's got going on. He had some back issues, and it kind of forced him to sit out of the seat for one whole summer, and he never would admit it, but I think he enjoyed going with me and watching me and helping me and coaching me, and from there on, he's pretty much in my corner the whole time.
Yeah. I bet that was just torture for him, though, to not be behind the wheel.
I think it was at times, yeah. He did drive some cars for guys off and on for a couple of years after that, but I think he really enjoys going with me, so that helped out a lot. He didn't have to get clear away from the racing, at least.
Has this been an addiction from the get-go, or did it take a little bit to get this stuff into your blood?
Oh, it's been terrible right from the word go. I mean, my mom always teased my dad that he brainwashed me at a young age. I mean, that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, and I ain't been smart enough to quit yet. So I'd say it's a terrible addiction.
Yeah, I agree. And what Dirk always says, always get your kids hooked on being a dirt driver because they'll never have enough money for drugs.
That's for sure. Yep.
Well, give us kind of an overview of a couple of years after you sat down behind a late model. Did it take you a while to get the hang of it, or did you start knocking down wins from the first couple of laps?
I think we won one feature the first year and 3 or 4 the second year. No, it was kind of a tough transition. I mean, we were pretty low budgeted. We were, kind of geared up to run the Sportsman deal, and a rookie driver. So we held our own with them, but we didn't really get a lot of checkered flags for the first 3 or 4 years.
What tracks were you running on a weekly basis?
Marshalltown and Boone, and then they both kind of got rid of the late models and started running the modified deals, a few years down the road. And but mainly Marshalltown and Boone start now. Did
you ever consider moving to a modified when they started phasing the late models out?
I guess I never really have. I've always been a late model lover and I always had the stuff, and kind of weighed it out at one time, the cost and all that, and I just didn't really see at that point they ran for quite a bit less money than we did, and it basically cost the same thing, so
mm-hmm. Yeah,
too much of a late model guy at heart.
It's too much. It's too tough to make the dollars and cents work for the class you love. Better yet, jumping into a different class that you're just going to try out.
It is. That's exactly a great way of putting it. And they're definitely, big in every area, and they're fun to watch and all that. But I've never have even driven one in all the years I've raced. So
Yeah, I mean they've come up with some pretty good money races for those, especially I know over in your area. I know what they have early in the year. Was it Farley had 50,000 to win or something for those mods?
Yeah.
So I remember Jeff was telling us he was putting a car together.
One, right? Yeah, Jeff Ike's got one. He just loves the thing. He races it all over. Richie Gustin's got a late model. Justin Kai. There's several guys that did double duty this summer.
Do you kind of wonder if maybe they're doing it and they're getting some extra exposure that could be useful, more track time?
Oh, I think at times, yeah, that does help. I don't think it's a huge advantage. I think the cars drive enough different but I think they got a better idea probably of where to be on the racetrack, where the traction spots are, and those sorts of things for sure.
Yeah, they got to have. Well, they got about half the tire the late models got.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some of them guys, and they drive quite a bit different, race a little different. So, but I bet they are a fun car to drive.
Talk to me about the 80s, how that decade went for you. It was kind of rough for most of us and the rest of the world, kind of a decade we like to forget. But how was your 80s?
It actually was real good. I mean, we got to clipping off some wins and winning, a few throughout the mid to late 80s pretty good. And it was a good time for us. We did a lot of racing and had a lot of fun.
I think you started your first Deary Brothers race back in April of 87. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
And that Deary Brothers series is kind of what the Malvern Bank series is doing here in the central or eastern Nebraska area.
Western
but it's
Iowa.
doing it for central Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it started out as a series that you could race your weekly car at and not have to change anything, And at that time, we had the Busch All-Star Tour going on, and they basically had the same rules, except they could run any carburetor and alcohol. But, they could just put the 390 carburetor on and come race with us. And, we ran the same tire and everything. So it was pretty popular when it first started.
And picked up quite a few wins in that series, right?
Well, a few. I don't know. Not enough.
It's never enough.
Always been probably, for some reason, if you're ever going to have a motor go south or a flat tire or, just anything that don't happen to you very much, it always seems to happen to me at a dairy race for some reason over the years.
How many dairy titles? How many dairy
None.
titles have you put together?
I put none together.
No dairy titles, but how many? Do you know how many feature wins?
Second several times. I think I'm at 15 or 16 wins, something like that.
But never picked up a title. Is that something that you would? That's kind of something you would, like the monkey you'd like to get off your back?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the Mark Martin and his championship deal and that type of thing. It's lurking out there, but if it never happens, it ain't going to be the end of it for me by no means. But I'd sure like to grab one before I quit.
468 consecutive starts in the Deary Brothers series from April 87 on up through, looks like about April of this year. Did you know that number was lurking out there before somebody brought it to your attention?
No, I don't. People say it every once in a while, and they always, a lot of people ask me, how many of these you been to? And all I can say is all of them. I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah, too many.
Well, I mean, that is kind of a crazy number. The article I'm reading here kind of compares you to guys like Cal Ripken and AC Green in the NBA who played 1,192 consecutive games. I mean, to start 468 consecutive races that's just crazy to think.
Dan, did you not understand the nickname Iron Man?
It could have meant a lot of different things.
Could have meant he was weak.
It's just another thing that tells you you're getting to your winter years instead of your summer years.
Have you raced anything other than a late model in your career?
No, just that and that street stock when we started.
Okay. Any aspirations to race a sprint car or maybe a dirt truck or anything like that?
I guess I did race a dirt truck for one of Carl Moyer's a couple times. The sprint cars I'd have loved to probably when I was 20 to 30-year-old, but now that I'm 57, not so much.
And a lot smarter.
Yeah, back in your dumber days.
Yeah. I told people about racing. It's not if you're going to crash, it's when,
Yeah.
So if you race enough, you're going to wreck. So
If you're trying.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've seen guys wreck and not try. All on their own.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We know a few guys famous for that over here.
We'll have to talk about that off the air.
Yeah. There's plenty of them that circulate this sport.
Yeah, I'm sure Darrell can name a few
in
his career.
I mean, that is a frustrating time of the night, is when you're trying to get the feature over with and there's one guy that just can't get out of their own way and keeps spinning on their own.
Yep.
And the problem is that
over here, they kind of started what everybody calls the Lottie rule. Now, usually most tracks, one spin, you're off the track.
Yeah.
So one solo spin.
Yeah,
so they've speeded that up quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, they call it the Lone Ranger rule over here, but they don't do it during the feature. And it always seems whenever you line up that you look at the lineup board and you go, oh no, look who's right in front of me.
What's your role as kind of a veteran in this sport? When you see somebody out there that's making a mistake like that and kind of holding up the show, do you tend to go over there and kind of say, hey,
try this?
Yeah, try not screwing up so much.
I've tried to help some guys, if they've asked. And there's some guys that's just gotten started that ask you for advice, and others don't really want to hear it or whatever it might be. But it's pretty competitive when you get there. So
they know it all already, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like you did 30 years ago?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Boy, my dad's probably smiling right now.
There's got to be times you look back on that kid that was starting in the 80s and think, God, why did I do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do things today. I wish I could have a time machine and go back in time and tell the young me don't do this. It sounds like a really good idea right now, but don't do this.
Exactly. I think we've all had them in our life.
Yeah.
There any little Darrells running around to take the driving wheel one of these days?
No, I just got a daughter. She doesn't seem to be interested in the driving part. She goes with me all the time, but she never got the bug to want to drive them. So
save you some money.
Yeah, I bet that saves you quite a bit of money, though.
It does. Everybody always told me if you get a kid, if you're a boy who wants to race, buy him a piano at a young age. I don't know if that's the right way or not. But.
Yeah, or you can get them involved in drugs. I mean, it costs the same, though.
Exactly.
They might have a better profit margin on drugs.
Oh, definitely.
If they get into peddling.
I'd say. Yep.
What's your daughter's role? I mean, when you were talking about she comes to the races, does she help out in the pits and kind of help the car a little bit, or is she just kind of a spectator?
Yeah. Well, her boyfriend helps me out a lot. She gets in there and scrapes mud, gets us tools, different things if we need them.
Huh? That stuff all helps. I mean, every few seconds you can save when you're trying to do a setup at the track is very valuable.
Keep the helmet clean and the tear-offs on and stuff like that when my wife's not around. So.
Hey, speaking of that, we'd read a story this past weekend when we were down in Kansas City. As everybody knows, we're pre-recording this stuff. So Brian Brown got a helmet stolen out of his hauler at the World Outlaw Sprint Car race over at Lakeside that night. And I was just going to ask you, have you ever had a helmet stolen?
Nope, never have. I don't know that we, in all the years that I've raced and Dad's raced, that we've ever had a problem in the pits of anybody stealing from us.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that somebody did that, because that's always been a very trusted area. I mean, these guys are out there running in the feature. The crew's over there watching them. The haulers are wide open. I mean, it's a free-for-all for anybody that's got sticky fingers.
It really would be.
Well, hey, let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll talk a little bit more about your career, some of your big wins, maybe some of your tough losses, and that kind of fun stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Fall has arrived, and so have the cold temperatures, but that doesn't mean you have to stay home. Get into Joe's Karting today and enjoy the Metro's largest fully heated indoor karting track. Get your friends together for a white-knuckle experience you can only find at Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Hours of operation, discounts, and lap times can be found online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. Get to Joe's Karting today and discover Council Bluffs' best-kept secret, 23rd Avenue next to Mid-America Center.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 4. Time to wrap up our Legends of the Dirt series for today. We're talking with driver of the 99D, Darrell DeFrance. Has that always been your number, or have you bounced around to different ones in your career?
No, it's always been 99, and then as we race more and got to be more 99s that I raced at. So everybody put a letter or a number or something behind, and we ended up adding the number.
Why the 99? Is that something your dad drove?
Well, no, my dad was always 44, but Terry Crosser lived in Marshalltown, and his uncle was Glenn Martin, which is Kurt's dad, and he raced 44 also, and he wanted that number when we were in hobby stock, so he came and talked to us, and I let him have it. And my dad was the biggest fan of racing of anybody I know. I mean, we went to the Rockford Short Track Nationals, went to Talladega, Daytona, hit the short tracks around those areas. I think, I'm getting older now, I can't remember, but I think I've seen Dick Trickle race like 8 times or something, or 9 times, and every time I saw him, he won. His number was 99, so I thought that'd be a good number to start with.
And
I picked that number.
That's pretty accurate. He won just about everything he entered. So
yeah, that was a time when he was really hot, when we were, I'd have been anywhere from 12 to 15, 16 years old going to all the races.
The old White Knight.
Yeah, that's how I picked that number.
Speaking of winning everything, what's your favorite win to date?
Actually, I would say this has to be the last Dairy Brothers race at East Moline this year, and Dad passed away like 2 weeks after that. So
it was the last one he was there with you on.
Yes. So
well, that will make it special, definitely.
That's kind of the one that sticks out. But the Boone Super Nationals were cool to win them. I won that twice, and there was a Dairy Brothers race at Burlington several years ago that was pretty big. That was fun to win. And
with Boone and the late models, I mean, I've known a lot of modified guys that have gone over there and won the race, and then they do the big claim and the auction off the engine deal. So it makes it basically a losing affair, even though they pay like $2,000 to win. Do they do that with the late models too?
No, we don't have a claim motor anymore. We got that spec motor. So
well, that's good. I was going to say
we all get to keep our motors.
Boone's always been very prestigious to win, but it's not a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to win type race, And
no, it's not for as big as it is. It's really not.
But the prestige that goes along with it, if you're talking to a potential sponsor or a car builder or something, absolutely.
Yep, it's a pretty incredible race for sure.
Talk to me about a race that you thought you had it in the bag, but something happened.
Oh,
make it a good one. The steering wheel fell off or something.
Naked woman ran across the track, distracted you.
No, I'd have to say back years ago in the early 90s, Marshalltown had the Stroh's national deal, and, it drew a lot of guys. Dale Fishline was one of the hot NASCAR guys at that time. I think he was leading the points and all that. He came over and ran it. I led it for, I think, 47 or 48 laps, and the bolt sheared out of the brake caliper. He ended up getting by me.
Oh.
That one always hurt for a long time. But
yeah. Did you ever have an opportunity to go up and race NASCAR?
Yeah, I raced NASCAR. Webster City was NASCAR for a while, and I raced the old Cedar Rapids some back years ago, and it was NASCAR. Got a NASCAR championship from Webster City in '93, so track championship up there. So
anything up there with
ran
the national
Busch All-Star Tour or something?
Okay. Anything up there with the National Touring Series?
No.
Any interest in that kind of stuff, or you were just mostly sticking to the dirt?
Oh, yeah, but, at that time you had to, and I think it's still the same way, you had to have a pretty good pile of money to go anywhere.
What?
We just never had that much of an opportunity, yeah. So.
What?
Yeah,
not everybody has $25 million laying around?
Well, I can think of a few guys. I know Steve Boley went and tried it for a little bit. I know, as you said before, Dale Fishline and Bob Hill went, and Bob ended up just taking did a little more ARCA stuff, and obviously stayed with Ganassi Racing for years. I don't know if I'm pretty sure he's retired now, but
I think he is. I think somebody said he just did. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had him on the Legends show last year or the year before, and of course I still talk, and I know if you see him at the track, you'd say hi to him, and Mark Ludwig.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So yeah, we chat on Facebook every now and then. He just had a birthday here this week, so we chatted for a little bit. And
yeah, him and Fishline both ended up down there, and tried to get a racing career going, and both ended up working at shops and have had good careers. But driving into it kind of came to a halt for them.
Is there we talked about the winning the Deary Brothers Championships, kind of something you'd like to do to get the monkey off your back. What about at a racetrack you haven't picked up a win yet that you would like to?
Oh, probably out to I-80 Speedway would be a good place. I'd like to win a race there sometime. I haven't raced there a whole lot, but a few times I have. I really like the place.
Yeah, it's kind of a long haul.
A few times, but never. Yeah,
that's a pretty long haul for you to go and race a weekly race there. So when you go, you got to race against the MLRA and the Lucas Oil guys.
Yep.
I hear they've got a little bit of talent. I don't know.
They do.
Well, what's the next couple of years? You talked about being 57, so is there a walker in your future, or are you going to be sitting behind the wheel for quite a while?
Or are you Glenn Roby-esque?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, unfortunately. I guess when I'm racing at a local level, of course, and I'm still pretty competitive. We won the track championship at Webster City this year. And
congratulations on that.
I think 4th in the national points and 5th or 6th in the dairy. I think 6th in the dairy. I think we got passed on the last night. So, all in all, it hasn't been a bad summer. It could be a little better, but we won 8 races, and so I'm still having fun and still somewhat competitive. So I think when you're running at the back each and every night, I think I'll know it's time to quit, I hope. So.
Yeah, that is kind of a defining line that it seems like a lot of athletes they make the call a year or two too late, and it kind of damages their reputation.
Yeah, I think it does. I don't know that it should, but it does a little bit, and it's kind of sad that it does have to be that way, but, we're all stubborn and still love it and still think we can do it. You got to keep trying until you're the last one that knows you can't sometimes, Well,
I mean, then there's a line between you've got to determine, you're not competitive anymore, but if you're still having fun, then why not?
As long as you're not out tearing up your equipment and somebody else's equipment, that I don't know why you can't just stay out there.
Yeah, I think that you should be able to stay out there. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't, that's for sure.
Do you have a year in mind, or are you just going to kind of keep playing it, and as long as you're competitive and having fun, you'll be out there till you're 65 or 70?
I'm probably going to be one of them guys that everybody's just going to go, wow, when I say I'm done. I think I'm going to be, that's my goal, is that when I'm done, I'm done. A lot of guys have said they retired and held a race the next year, and I don't get all that. I mean, maybe you got more time to race after you're retired. But, I don't know. I'm just, it's something that I can't lie about and say I haven't thought about a lot the last couple of years.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago, I was really struggling, and it was really, when you get to struggling, it's a lot easier to say, you know what, I've had enough of this.
Yeah. I mean, the sport, it's about as fun as it can ever get when you're successful. But when you're struggling, it's night and day.
They let you win a couple races a year. It keeps you coming back. So.
I don't think anybody's letting you do anything.
Except his wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's the other factor we got to figure out is when the wife steps in and says, "You're done."
She's my biggest supporter. This fall I said to her, I think we should just quit. She said, you absolutely would go crazy. You don't know what would you do? She said,
Well, and how hard would that be on the marriage, having you around more often?
That's what she did.
I told her that. That's probably a nice way of her telling me that, I think, was keep racing.
She turned around and walked away saying, boy, I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. That's what my girlfriend always says to me. She says, you've been home too much lately. Can you go back to the racetrack?
Yep.
Go get another race job. Go call a race on a Thursday night or a Sunday night.
Yep.
All right, Darrell, we do appreciate you joining us for the Legends of the Dirt series. There's really nothing that comes along with it other than a title, so sleep good tonight. You get that?
Appreciate that.
I've got one last
we need
question.
All the help we can get.
If you were the god of racing and you could change one thing, whether it be for you as a racer, whether it be for a promoter, an owner, whatever's viewpoint, what would that one thing be that you think would better the sport?
I think more unified rules for everybody. Less probably rule changes from year to year. Some simple things like that. The main thing is we need to get some spectators back in the grandstand somehow.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing we just asked. We asked a lot of people, and Rico Abreu came up with the simple idea of if you're 12 or under and you go to a racetrack, you get in free.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. It helps the parents out to be able to go to and not cost them as much money.
Yeah, he just said, he goes, that's the future of our sport. If we don't make a 10-year-old a race fan now, he's not going to be one when he's 30.
Yep. And it's a double-edged sword. When there's full fields of cars, the grandstands are full too, So
yeah.
You bring more people, more cars bring more people, et cetera, et cetera. So
it's a two-way street there.
Yeah, it's a chicken and an egg. You really got to figure out which one's going to come first. Do you put more cars in the field, bringing in more fans, or do you put more fans in the seats?
Yeah,
getting you more cars.
Right.
Well, Darrell, we do appreciate your time. Best of luck in the off-season, keeping your sanity. We'll see you out circling a dirt track sometime soon.
And hopefully see you down in St. Louis.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'll try to look you guys up if I make it down there. So
we'll do likewise.
I'd like to thank my wife. She's just amazing, and without her, I wouldn't be doing this. So thanks a lot, guys.
Any other shameless plugs you need?
Yeah, got Captain Kirk out there at MB Suspension out there in your guys' area. He's really, really turned me around here in the last year or so.
Good.
I appreciate his help a lot. We got Carl Chevrolet and Carl's Performance, Kaiser Manufacturing, and Bob Mashman Trucking, and got a lot of people that's really stepped up. Rumors Bar Grill, Marshtown. So without all them, I definitely wouldn't be talking to you guys. So.
Man, I hear about that Rumors Bar and Grill all the way over here in Omaha. They must be doing something right.
Yeah, but it's just rumors.
Ah! Yeah. Where's my hi-hat when I need it? He'll be here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Tip your waiters and waitresses. If anything, we're good for a laugh. All right, buddy.
That's right.
Like I said, we'll track you down at the Dirt Nationals.
Thanks again. Be safe, guys.
Thank you.
So a true legend in the sport, that man right there.
Yeah, and, like you kind of say, he doesn't necessarily have all the wins, and he's not been,
85-time champion.
Yeah, thinking like Kyle Burke, who's won the Malvern Banks Super Late Model Series 5 times. He's won in every track he's gone to, in almost every state. He's toured nationally. But he's definitely a legend because he's put butts in seats. He's been a contributor to the sport for a long time. He has been successful. So I think he definitely deserved to be on the list this year.
And I didn't know if he was going to bring it up, but I was going to avoid the fact that his father did pass away this year. And I know I think he actually missed a couple races just weekly because of that, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
But they had posted some stuff on the DeFrance Racing Facebook page where they actually took the hearse out to Marshalltown Speedway, and his dad got to take his last lap.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really cool.
That is cool.
It was really cool.
We're going to take a break. Actually, we're going to wrap it up for the weekend. We'll do it all again next weekend. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Have you ever watched NASCAR, dirt track, or IndyCar and thought, I could do that? Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the place to put your money where your mouth is. Races fire off every 10 minutes, so what are you waiting for? Get to Joe's Karting on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, next to the Mid-America Center, and find out how easy it is to drive a race car. Each Joe's Karting car is powered by an eco-friendly Honda engine capable of a 14-second lap. That's if you're as good as you think.
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Any driver will tell you that the key to winning a race is preventive maintenance. Pat at Eccles Heating and Air can make sure your wallet is on the winning side with a preventive care package. Pat will look over your existing unit and make recommendations to make sure you're toasty warm this winter. Drivers trust Pat at the racetrack with their safety, so you know you can trust him with your home heating. Call Pat today at 402-331-1755 and schedule your heater checkup. Eccles Heating and Air.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.